Hello nerds, my name is Matt aka Makazi007 and this is my first ever recorded video here on the Nerd Crew 5 channel. For those catching this video randomly, I stream over on twitch.tv/nerdcrew with my two friends and my wife, where we just hang out, chat casually, and attempt to make decent fun content for you guys to enjoy. You can catch some of those VODs here on this YouTube channel, which is what it's kind of been for the last year, mostly just a VOD history channel. But I'm kind of trying and been attempting for a while now to start getting more into edited videos and edited content where, we kind of just do our thing, things that interest us. And that's what brings me to this video here. I've always been wanting to make kind of like a introductory video, and I feel like I missed the mark on that and should have did that back in January, but that's all right. This video itself is more so about one of my goals for this year. I have two big gaming goals this year. The first one is to play more rhythm games and to get better at them. And the second one is to kind of dive into my PSVR a lot more. I've gotten a bunch of games for it physically, and I really want to start playing them more often. And so I'm going to try and make a docu-series about rhythm games, which is what this video is starting. And then later on, when I start actually playing some of the rhythm games, I will go ahead and do that. Going into rhythm games in general, I will say that my history with it is kind of not a lot. I've played a couple here and there. You got your Guitar Heroes. I'm in that millennial age range where we grew up with, Guitar Hero, Rock Band, and stuff like that. I played a lot of Rocksmith. I attempted that, but I will say I never really got good with it. And then also there's been other rhythm games I'm sure I'm forgetting about now. And so that's kind of my history with it. But I've always gone to gaming conventions and anime conventions, and I've just seen so many people who rock up with fingerless gloves and the fan that they plug in so they don't get too sweaty playing DDR. And I was just like, man, I don't want to be one of those people, but I don't want to play these games in front of those people because I'm afraid they're going to judge the ever-living crap out of me. And so it's kind of always put me off on rhythm games in general. So here and there, I've kind of dabbled. I've been like, oh, this game kind of seems interesting. This one kind of seems interesting, but I never really committed. And then finally last year, a good friend of mine introduced me to Rhythm Heaven Fever on the Wii, which I have here. And this is my friend's copy, which I do still have to return. But yeah, so they introduced me to that, and I loved it. It's such a fun game. The mechanics were simple. I didn't feel overwhelmed or I feel like, oh man, they're judging me because I'm so terrible at this game. It was just a generally good time, and it got me thinking I really should break out some of those rhythm games that I've been hoarding because I am a video game collector and I do have a huge backlog of games. And so that's why this year for 2025, I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to not only play some of these rhythm games, I'm going to try and get good at them. So in that attempt, I want to ask you guys, the audience, comment down below and let me know of any rhythm games, mostly physical games that I can get on systems. I own systems all the way from SNES all the way up to the PS5. So if you give me a game, tell me what system it's on, and if it's physical, I'll try and get it. If it's digital, I'll still attempt at getting some digital games, but I do want to stick mostly to physical games as I am a physical game collector. But I just wanted to go through and show you what I'm working with and tell you how it's going so far, because it is March as recording of this video, and so I have spent the first 2 months of this year playing rhythm games and really enjoying them. But just to kind of go over what I'm working with, so far the only games I have really been playing have been Rhythm Heaven Fever on the Wii, and I actually did find Rhythm Heaven, what is it called on the DS? The DS one, where, we were having a good time with that, mostly at work. I will say that game is hard, and Rhythm Heaven Fever is hard, and you can see how hard it was for me and my wife Erica. If you go over to our VOD, it's here on our YouTube channel, you can see how much we struggled with those. But that's okay. We're learning. It's still the first couple months, and we still have a long way to go. I'm definitely going to try my hardest to get a Rock Band setup and Guitar Hero guitar and stuff like that, and hopefully be streaming that later on this year. I will say March is kind of the start of our roguelike spring season, as we call it, the Spring of Endless Runs, and all March, April, and probably May we will be playing roguelike games. So if there's any roguelike rhythm games, I'll be all over that. Please let me know in the comment below, and I will definitely go and pick those up probably on Steam and play those and stream those. But to show you what I'm working with, this is the latest game I picked up, Super Crazy Rhythm Castle on the Switch. I just picked this game up. It looks like it's supposed to be a party game, so I really want to play this probably off stream, but play it with Erica and maybe some more friends. I also have this game, which I've tried a couple times, Musinx. This one is more of like your kind of anime music. I wasn't really a huge fan of this game. I felt like it was a little too Vocaloid-y and not really the style of music I really wanted to play. But I did play that a little bit in January, mostly when I was flying back home. I was playing that in the airport a little bit and with headphones in, of course. And then, of course, the next one I've got is Double Kick Heroes, also for the Switch. This one is an awesome game. This one is very metal, which, as you can tell, big into metal here. And this one is probably one of my favorites. And this is something I tried getting good at like a couple of years ago when it first came out. I actually used to review video games, and this was on the docket for me to review. But unfortunately, I never finished it, and I never got a chance to publish that review. But I love the game, and I can't wait to get back into it. But the controls are a little hard in that one, as will be the kind of mantra of this entire year of me going through rhythm games is I'm going to struggle with the controls. I already know it. I'm going to try my hardest to get better and better, but I know I'm going to struggle with the controls, and we'll see. I mean, I'm going to try to get better, and we'll see. I'm going to continue this video series, and I'm hoping by December there'll be a clear-cut difference between how I was doing in March and how I was doing in December. You know what I mean? Next up, we got another game that I actually did play a little bit at the end of last year, God of Rock. I picked this game up because it was in the Game Awards category for Best Fighting Game, if I remember correctly. And I was like, oh, a rhythm fighting game? That sounds cool. Played with my friends who are good at rhythm games. They totally kicked our butts. And that's fine. That's fine. They can kick our butts. But like I felt like they weren't even trying. Like they really whooped our butts. I'm going to have to really practice on that one to get good. I'm starting to realize as I'm going through this pile of games that I actually have played most of these. I just kind of gave up because I just felt like I wasn't getting good at them. So part of this year and getting into rhythm games is really not only finding a rhythm game that I love, but also giving me kind of the confidence to go into an arcade by the end of this year and just play rhythm games for like a whole day. Because the next one is another one, Voz, which I've also played this year, as well as a little bit a couple years ago when I first bought it. It's another one of those kind of like anime-ish Vocaloid music, kind of just drop down. You can kind of see it on the back here. Kind of just like the things drop down, and you can make it faster or slower, and it's okay. It's got touchscreen controls that are pretty good, but other than that, it's like they're not grabbing me. You know, I feel like a game like this with the rhythm games, it's more of like the music has to grab me or the controls have to grab me, and I'm noticing if one of those two things doesn't do it, then I'm just uninterested in the game. But the next two games are both Taiko no Tatsujin style games. One of them is an RPG, which I really want to play, and the other one is just your typical, you know, with the drum, which I do own up at the top. I just haven't used it. But and I love Taiko no Tatsujin. It's one of my favorite rhythm games. I always play it at anime conventions, and I always get like a B rating, no matter how good I think I did. And so that's another big one that like I'm gonna practice the hell out of that, and I'm gonna roll into my local round one, and I'm gonna be like, all right, step aside, children. I'm here to play Taiko no Tatsujin. The next one I've got is another game that I got recently used on the Wii called Samba de Amigo. This is another, I think, rhythm game. Just judging by what I was seeing on the back, it looks like, yeah, you're shaking the Wiimote and possibly nunchuck in the sense of them being, you know, maracas. So that could be fun. And then finally, the last game, which actually kind of goes into my other category as well of playing PSVR games, is Thumper. I have played Thumper before on Switch, and that game is hard as hell. So that'll be a very difficult game. That's another one where the controls didn't really get me, but I'm hoping in VR it might kind of entice me a little bit better. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of working with currently. I also do have, I don't have it on me right now, but I also do have the DS Rhythm Heaven as well. But I'm open to suggestions. If you're out there watching this video, please drop a comment and let me know like your top 5 rhythm games that I need to try. They can be all kinds of music. It's not just, you know, metal music for me. I do listen to other genres, and if the music is good and I can really get into it, then I'm down. You know, Rhythm Heaven Fever is a great example of that. Most of that music is not rock and roll. Most of it's not heavy metal. And still, I was enjoying the hell out of it. Even though the controls were kind of hard at times, even though you're only pressing 1 or 2 buttons, like staying in rhythm and pressing the buttons at the right time was a struggle. So with that, I just want to say once again, if you've been watching this long, thank you so much. This has been kind of more of an introductory video into a series throughout the year where I'm going to kind of do some updates as to my goals for the year And they might also be other goals. Right now, I'm focusing mostly on the rhythm games, but I also do have some goals of completing some JRPGs, so there might be videos with that in mind soon, and also with the PSVR. And who knows, I could drum up some other games. I got a huge backlog over here that I'm going to be working through, playing some games for the first time, and you might end up seeing videos for those as well. But again, if you've watched the whole video, I really appreciate it. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Come on over to twitch.tv/nerdcrew, nerdcrew spelled with 3's instead of E's, and give us a follow over there. Hang out with us. I may be playing some of these backlog games and rhythm games over there on stream. But yeah, this has been my first video. And once again, I just want to say thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later, nerds.